get the candidates to take their seat up at the front here. If we start on time, we can finish on time. Might still be light out too by the time we leave.
They're putting buffers in between us.
You're one of the bookends.
The west side always lots of people, I think. Everything west side.
Holy crap. Look what I'm sitting between.
This is more people than showed up all the others combined.
Not bad.
Here you supported data center.
Do we want to start that right now, Greg? Because we can. What was that? Oh, yeah. I think somebody misread it when they did the proofreading then. But I'm actually not feeling too bad right now. I haven't broken down to cry yet. If it's nothing else, I had to figure out what's happening. I saw her.
Who is it?
Sue King. She, but I saw her. But I could be mistaken. Alright, don't look at my notes. I had to reprint mine. Because they were like, it was like a font of 20. Well, you know what you have.
Well, I know, no, I don't know. Sometimes people have to tell me.
Who has to tell you what to do? Oh, that doesn't count.
That's what counts the most.
Telling you how to they're applying it. Might have left me.
That's your right? People in this crowd. That's where it counts.
There is a picture here today. So, yes, must be. I didn't know the picture.
How are you?
Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome. Before we begin, I'd like to acknowledge that we're gathered in St. John on the traditional unceded territory of the Wolastoqey, Mi'kmaq, and Pescatamakati people. We acknowledge the enduring presence, histories, and contributions of Indigenous peoples in this region, and we offer that acknowledgement in respect and humility. On behalf of the Human Development Council and Civic Tech St. John, thank you for joining us for tonight's Ward 1 Civic Forum. And thank you to the candidates for putting their names forward for public service. Civic Tech St. John helped develop the public survey that invited residents to rank priorities and submit questions, which has helped inform tonight's discussion. This forum is intended to provide a respectful, nonpartisan opportunity for residents to hear directly from those seeking to represent Ward 1 on Common Council. Ward 1 is one of the city's largest and most varied wards. It includes established neighborhoods, industrial areas, growing transportation pressures are experienced, and communities with more suburban and rural style needs. Tonight, we hope to explore both citywide priorities and the specific realities of this ward. Candidates are seated alphabetically. We'll begin with introductions, followed by a series of questions. I'll allow a little extra time for opening responses, 2 minutes. We have a timekeeper who will be putting up a little card when there's 15 seconds left. When he flips it over and it says time's up, we'll have to see how respectful you folks are to the time and for the people that are here. Thank you all for being here. So let's start by having you introduce yourself and tell us why you're running. Up to 2 minutes, and we'll start with Mr. Armstrong.
Hello, my name, I don't need the microphone, trust me.
But the audience, those on live stream, Mike.
Well,
Is that true?
I'm not used
Is that
to
better?
holding.
Yeah.
Do I need to hold the mic? Okay, is it on? Anyway,
Test,
My name's
test.
Blake Armstrong. Yep. I'm 68 years old. I lived in the ward all my life. Ward 1, West St. John. I've been in the bar business 40 plus years. I'm running because the city of St. John had 103,000 people in 1970. If people aren't aware of that. We're down to 75,000 people. I firmly believe we're not going in the right direction. Lots of good things are happening because of council, but we need to get the population base up. And we need to have the work. People move here because of work. No matter what city you're from, people move because of jobs. So I believe I'm pro-business, I'm pro-family, very pro-family, and we need people that will speak. And being in the bar business, I have no problem speaking my mind. People might not agree, and that's fine. We can disagree respectfully. That's the biggest problem today I see in politics. If you don't agree with someone, you're supposed to hate them or not like them. That's not the way it should be. We can disagree and still be friends and go out for a beer later on. That's what I believe. So Ward 1, the west side, my home, my whole life. I love Ward 1. So that's why I'm running. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Is this on? Oh, God. Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Sherry Call McCaver, and I've lived in St. John the majority of my life, with the last 31 years being in Lornville. I have a background in process documentation, and I have over 20 years of experience as a business analyst. I've always loved working with people, and especially in a team dynamic, and talking to stakeholders to help them identify their needs versus their wants. I answered the call to advocacy for my community after I retired, and it is this work that helped me decide to run for council. The reason I'm running is because I see a gap that is growing exponentially between residents and city council. The trust in decisions being made at City Hall has faltered, and resident apathy has risen. There is a perceived lack of transparency coupled with a lack of clear and concise communication. Council needs to get back to the basics. You need to get back to communicating with constituents and representing the people who put you in those seats. We need to work on rebuilding faith and trust in our elected officials, and I'd like to take the opportunity to be one of those individuals who's going to help start that process. So we need to bring accountability back to council for every taxpayer in St. John. Thank you.
Thank you, Sherry. Blake, I don't think anybody could hear you, so for now on you need to use the mic. Just before leaving here, I just finished one of my last common council meetings as it relates to this term, and that meeting was scheduled from 4 to 5:30. And just before that, we had citizens that were starting to congregate as it relates to the for the civic award ceremony. And although I send my regrets this evening that I'm unable to be there, the people that we're celebrating are the very backbone of our community, and some of you are here and yet to be recognized or may have been. And I do want to pay special acknowledgement to them, celebrate them, and thank them for the good work they do, whether it's in the community and their businesses, their nonprofits, their for-profits, or just on the street that they call home. Those folks that we're going to celebrate this evening are what's very special about St. John, and it's what, from my perspective, it's what's brought us here this evening. Groups like the St. John Human Development Council, Civic Tech, those folks that volunteer in our community, in our nonprofit sector, are the very ones that provide a pedestal for folks like you to make informed decisions and make St. John, from my viewpoint, and I know the candidates that are up here from their viewpoint, or else they wouldn't be putting their names forward, the very best community that you can live in. My name's Greg Norton. I was elected in 2012. I've been your counselor for mental math 14 years now, and this is the 4th city election I'll be running in. I'm running to make sure that the high price that you pay to live here matches the quality of service that you deserve. I have 15 seconds left. I'm the proud dad of 3 girls. I call the west side of St. John home. And I'm looking for your support, but most importantly, I'm looking that we turn the table in terms of voter turnout at the end of this, and we get that up. So regardless of who you vote for, get your friends, your family, and your neighbors out, and let's practice our democratic right. Thank you for being here this evening.
Good evening, Ward 1. I'm Su Pingxi. I was a professor before I came to Canada. I got my degree in computer science. I worked and taught in other fields before I transferred to marketing. I am actively involved in community organizations. I was the board member of DRDH Hospital Foundation, 6 years. I was in Seniors Friendship Club. I'm their vice president. I'm senior, okay. Just like some of you. And then I was in the board of St. John Community Arts, and I love arts and culture. And I participated in so many events, and 6 years. And in 2 terms, I chaired the board. So in this period of time, as a chair, I never miss my meeting. And I sat in each of the subcommittees. Although it's volunteer work, I treat it very seriously because the file has not been updated for a long time. And they don't have a code of conduct. So I said, let's do it. So I lead the governance team. We update all kinds of documents. And then I drafted the code of conduct. We get all the people approved. I got it. Okay, I got to speed up, okay? I love talk. I talk to the people, you know, never stop, okay? All right, okay. Speed up. So I live in St. John for 35 years. In this ward, 35 years, I raised 3 children here, okay? And they all, for the job, they all gone, okay? But I see my kids gone, my friends gone. I love here, I stayed here. And because when I'm doing a lot of things, you know, and I found that a lot of us feels that our voice not heard, and a lot of issues not get done. And when the city couldn't find all the information, so frustrated. So I said, I want to come to put my name on, and I hope you'll support me. Let's get our strong voice in the City Hall, okay? Thank you.
Thank you all very much. My name's Adam Smith, and I'm running to be one of 2 of your ward councilors here in Ward 1. I want to start by thanking Randy and his team at the Human Development Council. This is your 5th forum that you've put on so far, and 1 more to go tomorrow. You've done great work this election season, so thank you very much. I want to thank everybody that's here tonight and those watching online, as well as thank my fellow candidates in this election. We all put our names forward to help advance our ward and our city with the experience and leadership that we each have to offer. I am running in this election because I want to ensure that we have a safe and vibrant city filled with possibilities for generations to come, as well as those living here right now. I've lived in each part of this city over my 34 years. And the west side is where my wife and I decided to put down our roots and raise a family, and you can hear our little guy in the back. Public service is a calling that I've felt and answered my entire adult life. I've been a volunteer firefighter for the last 15 years, and I've served our province as an executive assistant to a provincial cabinet minister with varying portfolios, including local government, environment and climate change, and la francophonie, as well as serve as the chief of staff to the leader of the official opposition of New Brunswick. I'm offering my experience to you as someone who knows how to navigate governmental structures and deliver results for constituents. And together, we can lower your tax rate to give you financial relief that you deserve, while making investments in our public safety, infrastructure, and ensuring that our constituents are properly consulted on all ward projects. Thank you very much.
Just to reflect what Adam said, thank you, Randy, and the HDC for hosting this event. I'm Joe Votor, and I'm proud to say I'm a 58-year resident of St. John. Even more proud to say 58 years right here in Ward 1. I'm a retired 33-year veteran of the St. John Fire Department, and this profession alone has given me front row seat to see how people live, especially when they are most vulnerable. A lesson I've learned: when there's a challenge, step up. Learn the bagpipes, challenge accepted. Learn the saxophone, challenge accepted. I'm going to be a grandfather, challenge accepted. We're having a boy. Run for council, challenge accepted. So here I am. And let's discuss briefly what people may be feeling: fiscal responsibility and tax reform. We are definitely feeling pressure in these areas. The property tax rate is set by the city. However, the province is responsible for setting the ever-increasing assessments. So even as rates have successfully been reduced, we are still paying more. That's not relief. That's added pressure on our families. Another issue: St. John is the largest contributor to the provincial tax system. However, we do not receive a fair return, while at the same time carrying more and more responsibility for supporting things like housing, services, and infrastructure. Our surrounding communities add roughly 20% to our population between 7 and 9 a.m. in the morning, and at 5 o'clock, they return home to their communities. Added pressure. Fiscal responsibility: we can refer to the 2005 LNG proposal, a prime example of big business taking advantage of fiscal responsibility. If we get it right, we can invest where it counts. We can support frontline services. We can keep our communities safer. We can take a better approach for the homeless. If you followed my campaign, I use a slogan: always community driven. For me, this means standing up for you, the citizens of St. John, making fair decisions, and never losing sight of who we represent. Let's work smarter, not harder. Thank you.
Well, thank you to all the candidates for those introductions. We'll move directly into tonight's questions. Residents often say that it's not only the level of taxes that concerns them, it's whether they are receiving fair value in return. Do you believe residents in Ward 1 are getting fair value for their municipal tax rates? And what would you change first? Blake, I want to start with you, and then...
I believe the city of St. John should have priorities. Mention the tax rate.
Sorry, could I just get you to use the mic because of the people that are listening?
Okay, I got to talk low. Am I all right now? Okay, thank you. All right, the people of the St. John in Ward 1 pay the highest tax rate in the province, as we know, okay, for services rendered. But I believe we have to have priorities with the city of St. John. Priorities, not waste money. We try not to waste money in our homes, so we can't waste money as a civic government. We need to have priorities. West St. John, roads, roads, roads. Everybody here probably drives a car. And what do we complain about the most? The roads. So priority one would be roads for me. For me, roads. Taxes, as Joey said, is the assessment given by the provincial government. And if you're, as a councillor before, I always say pay your fair share. But it's the province of New Brunswick who sets the tax rate. The city of St. John does have the highest taxes, but if we collected more taxes, as Joey said, from the heavy industry, we'd be much better off. And what do people come for? And I'll say it, and I want to acknowledge Greg Stewart's here from council, the only councillor here. So thank you, Greg, for showing up to our Ward 1 debate. He's a West Side, he doesn't live in the West, but he has businesses in the west side. He makes his living there. So I want to acknowledge Greg for one of the only councilors here, besides Greg Norton, of course, who's here, who lives here. Thank you very much.
Randy, could you repeat the question?
Sure. The question is, do you believe residents in Ward 1 are getting fair value for their municipal taxes? And what would you change first?
That's a loaded question. Are we getting fair value for our taxes? I personally, excuse me, I personally don't believe so, but I'm sure there are other people that feel the same way that are in the city. We have a lot of issues on the west side of St. John. I will agree with Blake that our roads leave a lot to be desired. I can point to literally the Point Road in Lornville, which has not been paved or fixed or attended to, and I think there are people in here who can attest to it, but I think it's like 30, 40. It's been a couple of decades since it's been done. There are some areas in West St. John that are being neglected, and we feel it. I don't feel that the taxes that we're paying right now, based on what our assessments are giving us enough bang for our dollar. The assessments that are happening right now, we need the provincial government to put forth the property assessment review so that we can start getting money back. The city can't give us back everything. Like I think that my return was like $25 was the difference for what I got back for taxes. So no, I want more money coming into the city. West St. John needs more money. We need to get our roads fixed, and I'm going to give this to Greg.
The quick answer is no. You pay Cadillac prices for K-car services. That's simply where you are at, folks. And to further build upon that, it's just not the tax rate. It's your water and sewage rates. Your tax rate for the last 14 years, and we're building on the backs of those before us. And I do want to draw reference to Randy's opening question to introduce yourself. My introduction and why I'm here is to make sure that the taxes that you pay are comparable to the level of service that you get. And right now they're not aligned. What you pay does not match the level of service you get. Whether that's roads, street sweeping, recreation, public safety, water and sewerage dependability, all of those things that are within the purview of the municipality, they're not aligned. In 2025, your tax rate was simply $1.78. For the last 14 years, the council that I've served on has consecutively lowered that. Right now in 2026, it will be $1.53. It's my promise to you that I will always support extra revenue going towards your tax rate to meet our goal, which is in 2026 to 2036, to get that to $1.36, which will match our outlying communities to make it more affordable to live, work, and play in St. John, in particular, Ward 1. Thank you.
Yes, we asked this question, and actually when I campaigned, everybody asked the question. You know what? We are the one, in the West, Ward 1, we are racially, we are the highest house owners, which means we pay the more property taxes, right? Do we get the service? Do we deserve this? Do we need a lot of services? Do we get it? No. The last route was broken. I was campaigning, passed by some area. There was, the pothole there. They said it had been there for a long time, not get it fixed. So I said, did you report it? Yes. What's the answer? No. And they frustrated, feel very frustrated. So I think we need a strong voice. I will be there. I will go there, go to the table and see, here, these things need fixed, right? We need a lot of things done in this area, right? Recreation, some people point out that we even don't have a swimming pool, we don't have a lot of things here. So all these things has to build up. So we pay a lot of tax dollar in there. We didn't get what we deserved, right? So that's what I want you to support me. And then I will get you, all right. I will get your voice there. Tell them what happened in our ward, okay? Lower our, give the service we needed. I'm really practical, okay? Thank you very much.
So fair value for the taxes that we're paying? No, absolutely not. When we're the highest tax jurisdiction in the province, and depending on the metric you use, in the top 5 or the top 10 in the country, and we have the gaps in service that we have and that we see in this city, it's really hard to say that you are getting fair value for your hard-earned tax dollars. So how do we address that? Few different ways. One, I want to prioritize lowering your tax rate, and that's been mentioned amongst a couple of us here. We have targets that we have to meet. It's the right thing to do from an affordability standpoint, but it's also from a competitive edge standpoint. If we are, of course, an industrial city, but we can't rely on that alone. We need to make sure that we have a fair, competitive playing field for business and residents from all over the world and all over the country to come here to help grow our tax base as well. We also need to reprioritize what we spend our taxes on and the services that we want to receive. So, as has been mentioned, our roads, many of them are in disrepair. Yes, Sherry, you're absolutely right. The Point Road, I have spent many a night there over the last month, and it is absolutely in disrepair. So our roads for sure, also our snow clearing services. When we go 3-4 days after a storm and we have impassable sidewalks on bus routes, it's really hard to say that we are getting fair value for your taxes. So there's many things that we can do to address this. We need to have a plan, and we need to, my time's up.
Fair taxation. I brought it up in my opening statement. St. John is the engine of this province. When you stop giving it gas, it stalls. We give the province, let's say $100, they give us back 20. Thanks for your $100. That's not fair. We need to get more of that money for St. John. Our hard-earned money goes to territories in New Brunswick that are have-not regions. Your money goes to support have-not regions in New Brunswick. Believe it or not, that's true. All I can say is we really need to focus on getting the province to listen to us, getting more of our money back, and getting more money of our back to make our services better. In Ward 1, where our population density is second in the city, second lowest in the city. So we don't really get the money back that we deserve in Ward 1. However, we have to take the city as a whole and get the city as a whole to get more money back from the province.
Housing insecurity and visible homelessness remain major issues across St. John. How do you think the city is responding right now, and what would you like to see strengthened or changed?
That's a tough one, the homeless situation. 5 years ago, we didn't have this homeless situation as bad as it is today. I don't know if people know this, but the province of New Brunswick is responsible for housing. Not the cities, not the municipalities. The province is responsible for housing. St. John has the most homeless in the province. Right or wrong, we just have it. They are building homes now, mini homes, or whatever they call them. What do they call them, Greg? Do you know?
They are similar to mobile homes.
But they're very small. So if you look on Thorne Avenue, you look over the north end, that's what they're building now with federal and provincial money. And we got to say it now. I'm not afraid to say anything. It's about drugs. Most of these people are on drugs. It's sad. It's a sad situation, but that's what makes them homeless. Okay? I don't have a cure. I don't know who has a cure, to be honest. But it's a sad situation, and as a society, we are, as a city now, we are looking after the homeless as best we can. And I'll listen to the rest of the candidates for a solution, because honestly, I don't know what the solution is. Thank you.
Well, the city has made strides in the Housing for All strategy, but there's always room for improvement. Many want this issue expedited to a solution as quickly as possible, but the problem is that this problem didn't appear overnight. It didn't appear a month ago. It didn't appear a year ago. It has been here for a very, very long time. We're just now starting to try and find solutions to help these people, who are some of our most vulnerable citizens in this city. Homelessness, it's a systemic issue, and it's got multifaceted causes for it. And there's no one person in municipal government who can solve it. But St. John has made progress because they've partnered with 12 neighbors, they've partnered with the province. They're starting to take care of the people that need being taken care of. We need to understand that these people, they're part of our community. They're human beings. I beg to differ. I don't think it's all drugs. I think that there are people that may have just fallen on hard times. I don't care what anybody says, anybody in this room can be one step away from homelessness and not realize it. So that's my thing. We need to work together as a community to support the people who need it the most. Thank you.
Thank you for the question. It's one that that is delicate at best, and it's fragile at the most. I think it bears to mind that those that we're looking that have the highest acuity within our communities perhaps need the most help. At the same time, we can't lose focus that other neighboring communities and residential areas and adjacent businesses also need to be protected and shielded as it relates to some of the encampment issues we have, some of the behaviors that we see in our uptown area that have spread from one ward to another. How do we do that? I do believe it takes a community mindset, but I believe that there is certainly structural reforms that have to take place where we have been left holding the bag as a municipality for something that was traditionally the domain of the province, which is housing and social development issues, and it has quickly escalated into one of the fastest growing departments at your city hall, where we should be focused on things like recreation, public safety. We should be focused on things like municipal services, such as snow plowing and protecting our streets and developing those. With that, the Housing for All strategy has met with some success, but there's more work that needs to be done there. Thank you.
Yeah, I heard a lot about the homeless things. And I remember 20 years ago, I went to LA and I saw the street behind the LA City Hall, a lot of tents there. You know what I said? Thanks God, it's not in St. John. But somehow it started here. Why? I said, what the heck, what's going on here? Why? Right? We're going to ask ourselves, why this is happening? Why? What's the reason, right? And then they are one of us. I remember that when I was a single mother for a little period of time, it's really hard. I probably very, very close to lost my house and then be like a homeless. So there's some special reason there, right? So they are one of us. So the house for all is a solution. But how about the people right now? The house for all is, it take a while to finish it, right? Take a long time. It need a federal, need a provincial government. They all have to be there. But the homeless people needed to be sheltered, right? They needed to be fed. They need a shelter, right? So there is a short solution, temporary solution, medium-term solution, then long-term solution for them. Eventually, we want them to go back to work on their own, to be able to support themselves, right? So has been a long talk. I hope I have a lot of time to talk about. Some of them drug addict, some of them mentally challenged. I know how hard it is for the family to take care of it. It's very, very hard for them. I saw a couple of my friends struggling how to hold them. So we have some minimum house, mini house project and so many other projects. So it's a good start, right? So I take everybody's, like all community. Let us all have to work together to get the problem under control. We can solve it, but we should get it in control. Thank you.
So first, we need to recognize that there's many reasons why somebody can become homeless. It's not just one issue or another. Of course, there are drug addiction issues, there are mental health capacity issues, there are financial and economic pressures, all of that weighs in. And there's stigma associated with this issue as well. So first and foremost, we need to, as people and as a community, take on this challenge with compassion and care. These are our fellow St. Johners. This is the jurisdiction of the provincial government through their housing programs and through social development. That doesn't mean, however, that there isn't a role to be played by municipalities. We need to make sure that we are taking a coordinated approach. All levels of government and community organizations working together, we need to make sure that we have designated and clearly delineated responsibilities between all of these organizations. We need to be looking at duplications of services and efficiencies that we can make and leverage the expertise on the ground from our community organizations. They're the experts in this field. They're the ones working with folks on the daily to try to get them into housing, get them off the street. And we also need to be looking at what other metrics we can use as a city if we need to rezone areas to allow for things like single room occupancy that can be a safety net for folks that are about to drop into homelessness or a hand up to folks that are currently experiencing homelessness. So.
Thanks, Adam. You were reading my notes. So, a lot of what he said, I want to say, but let me just start by saying, as a first responder, I've had the opportunity to deal with the homeless face to face. They don't view society the same that you and I do. Their number one priority is warmth and shelter and survival. And most of the time, their number two priority is, where's my next high coming from? I've gone on many occasions. We've got to know them by name, and I'm going to use a name, Ray. How you doing, Joe? Just administered Narcan. He came out of it. How you doing, Ray? I'm doing okay. We're going to see you again? Yeah, probably around 6 o'clock. That's what we are dealing with. The homeless encampments, they're unsightly, but to them, that's normal. We have to fix that. We have to educate them. We need to take all levels of government, federally, provincially, civically, and even private enterprise. These are Canadian citizens. These are provincial citizens. These are our citizens. We need to help them, plain and simple.
public safety means different things to different people. What does public safety mean to you, and what is one action you would support to improve it in St. John?
Public safety, I guess, by the police department, is that what you mean, Randy? Yeah. Okay, well, St. John writes a check for $27 million to the police commission. As a former counselor, and I see there's two counselors, Gary Sullivan has showed up, so thanks for coming in, Gary. We answer to the commission. The commission answers to council. The police chief works for the commission. A lot of people don't know that. The police chief works for the commission. As a counselor, you can meet with him, but he does not work for you. He works for the commission. Now, we know they've been in the news, public safety. I'm not getting into that. Police have to be told what to do. When I was growing up, we respected the police. And I want to point out one thing, because Sherry just pointed out to me. Not everybody homeless is a drug addict, okay? Just so we make that clear. I guess I just said everybody was on drugs. They're not all on drugs, okay? But there is a serious drug problem, and I got 15 seconds left. So just so I educate the people, the commission runs public safety. They answer to council. Just so you know, we write a $27 million check, and that's our input. Thank you.
What does public safety mean to you?
Thank you. What does public safety mean to me? Well, that's a multifaceted response on that. I know that we do have an issue right now with our police force. There is a report that is due to come back to council May 4th, possibly, the next council meeting, that's going to discuss whether or not they should be moving forward to dismantle the police department. Not the police department, the police commission. I think that what we need is we need to get back to basics again. We need to have, for public safety, we need to have the experts who are on the ground, who are seeing what's happening in our encampments, sitting down with city staff who can actually work the problem, and having police there as well. We need to start working, we need to have everybody under the same umbrella so that we can improve our public safety. Because people aren't feeling safe. They really aren't. And it is a shame because we have a beautiful city and we all know that. But we do need to have more engagement so that we can feel safe straight around. Thank you.
Public safety is one of those interesting ones, and obviously what's in the press recently has us laser focused on policing. It's more than that, but our first responders as a community provide essential services. But what it means to me is that community needs and our values and our expectations, those three pillars are aligned. And right now, there's no alignment with what our needs, our values, and our expectations are. One of the big reasons for that, when you look at policing, is that we have a police act that is 50 years old. And there's no province or territory in all of Canada that has a 50-year-old police act. So when you have an opportunity to talk to your MLA, it's an important point. In fact, I would suggest right now that in Canada we have 7 provinces and 3 territories that all have provincial legislation that would cause them to have what would be referred to as community safety and wellness plans, and your city of St. John doesn't, and that's because we're out of step with provincial legislation. A community safety wellness plan would help coordinate not only provincial resources, such as peace officers, but our city resources as well through mandate letters and through well-scripted policy that allows your common council to provide very generous oversight over your police force and your fire to make sure the levels of service that you get match the high price that you pay to live here via your tax bills. Thank you.
Public safety is very important. I don't know how you feel, but I feel it's very important. For me, you know, I'm the current president of Greater Xinjiang Chinese Cultural Association. So what I did, because when a newcomer come, right, so we organize a talk between police and the newcomers. We call it a face-to-face, to talk to face-to-face with police. Safe and happy living in Xinjiang, Greater Xinjiang, of course, include Queen's Premises and Rase, Westfield. So I think it's very important to teach these newcomers, tell them where is safe. You know, we needed to let them understand what is safe. When you call police, right, what you should pay attention to, right? So now people spotted it, but this is one program. I think the newcomers should have that, because people want to know, newcomers and like me and everybody, they wanted to know what is, they should pay attention, how safe Xinjiang is very important. And for the practical part, I think, you know, we may put more lights, maybe put a camera in the street. Is that possible, right? Like you can say we got fundings, things, more police appearances, and maybe some private company, and also community involvement. So in some of the, I remember I went to my sister's living places, they have a community group. They walk around a certain time. You know? I think that's another choice we can do, right? So we have a community involved. So, okay, my time's up. I have a lot I wanted to say, but anyways, okay. Thank you.
So public safety is all of the things that we inherently think it is. It's our police services, it's our fire services, and we need to make sure that they are receiving what they need to do their job safely and to keep us safe. They're crying out for help right now. We are short police officers in this city, we are short firefighters in this city, and they have dwindling resources, and that needs to be addressed. Especially if we want to keep continuing to grow as a city, we need to make sure that they have the resources they need. But it's not just those things. It's also safe infrastructure. We need to make sure safe and accessible infrastructure is also in place throughout our ward and our city. We need to make sure that, yes, lighting on streets. We need to make sure that we have audible and visual crosswalks throughout. And, you know, there's, just getting back to the police and fire aspect of it. I mean, we're fortunate in Ward 1. I'm not saying it doesn't affect us, it just doesn't affect us as much as in other wards in the city. I've had a friend of mine move here from Ontario, move into uptown St. John, live there for several years with her family, put down roots, and then through numerous break-ins that weren't responded to, they ended up leaving the city. So as far as we need to see what the police commission review is going to be, I would be in favor of bringing the police force under council to make sure that we are correcting these things, and then if possible at a later time hand back to a newly revised and well-structured police commission.
So I believe in abolishing the police commission. I think that's the right thing to do. Again, being a first responder, I can relate this. 2 young children perished in Milford in a fire. And the reason was the fire truck was blocked by a train. And Lou Murphy, God bless him, advocated to get an overpass put in. Public safety. This ward is the second largest in the city, protected by 1 fire station and sometimes only 2 policemen. Public safety. Sims Corner. I'm an advocate. that Sims Corner has got to be fixed. Has to be fixed. Somewhere, somehow, there's got to be a rail and road separation, and Sims Corner has got to be made more negotiable. It's a safety issue again. We're going to get into trouble with public safety because those trains are blocking traffic. And those trains are getting bigger. Our port is getting bigger. Our container traffic is getting larger. And there's only one train track coming in and out of there, and that goes through Sims Corner. So public safety, yes. Are we doing enough? Absolutely not.
For many residents, accessibility begins with basics, such as sidewalks, curb cuts, snow clearing, transit, and access to public services. What would you prioritize to make Ward 1, and St. John more broadly, a more accessible and inclusive community for people with disabilities?
All right, I'm going to go back to the 60s when I grew up. We used to help everybody. Someone came to school and they had crutches and they needed up the stairs. We helped them. So accessibility today, to me, is we forget about those people. We really do. Because everything's supposed to be accessible. But you never look at it from the people with crutches or in a wheelchair. We kind of walk by them and think they're going to be accessible. So do we need accessibility? Absolutely. How do we take care of that? I'm not an engineer. I'm a guy that has a mouth, not afraid to speak. I can think. I can call people for advice. But accessibility is a huge thing. But mostly to me, and I'm speaking for Blake Armstrong, we've lost the human touch to help people. We walk by, if there's somebody in a wheelchair, we think they're going to be all right because they're not accessible to get in. And that's what I have to say. We need accessibility, but we also need human touch for these people to help them. Don't walk by them. Make sure that they're going, if they're going in the door. There might be a little curb there. All they need is a little hand. And the accessibility is written in the bylaws. And we need more of it. Thank you.
So, yeah, accessibility. I have to say that accessibility is not a one-size-fits-all. We have people with different mobility issues. We have people with vision issues. We have people with mental health issues. It's a broad spectrum of what we're calling accessibility. So I think that we need to start to understand that there's a difference between equal accessibility and equitable accessibility. Like I said, what's good for one person may not be good for another. So when we're talking about West St. John, I know one of the things that I've heard about is sidewalks, that it's difficult to navigate if you have any sort of mobility issues. My husband, God love him, sitting in the audience now, he's just recently has to use a cane. And I actually am very cautious when we do go anywhere out and about because I'm terrified he's going to fall because the curbs aren't set, the sidewalks are a mess. Even trying to get across the street, if I find that the timers on the lights that we have right now, okay, I got 15 seconds, the lights we have right now trying to get across the street, they're not long enough for people with any sort of mobility issue to safely cross. We need to start looking at stuff like that. So that's what I'm thinking. It's sidewalks, it's crosswalks, and it's just basic, trying to make everything equitable for people. Thank you.
Thanks, Randy, for the question. As a municipality, one of the things that we have to be really careful of is scope creep, and that means getting into somebody else's lane that's the domain of somebody else's. And if we're not well coordinated, you're going to see us carrying the load for both provincial and federal government. But that doesn't mean that we can't be well coordinated. So the people that know the answers already have the answers. So the New Brunswick Coalition for People with Disabilities and the Premier's Council for People with Disabilities and our own St. John Advisory Council for People with Disabilities already have the answers. And it's making sure that our budget and our strategic plan align with their priorities. So when you look at those three advocacy groups that advocate for people, whether it's intellectual disabilities or those with mobility disabilities, one of the top things that shows up is transportation and housing. And those two things you hear resonated time and time again as it relates to not only this panel, but conversation door to door. And one lady that I talked to close to Lornville, and Lornville needs a sidewalk desperately. We need to connect the sidewalk from Galt Road onto Manawagonish. There's a gap there, and there's a child care center there, and there's seniors there. But if we don't coordinate those efforts from the municipality with the people that advocate for those resources, and you follow the money where the money goes as it relates to their priorities, we're going to continue to find ourselves not in lockstep, but misstep. And that's where we need to fund those priorities as it relates to people with disabilities, not only in funding, but in transportation. Enhance the flex system on the west side is where I would advocate for. Thank you.
So accessibility, someone sent a survey, tell me that equitability and equality. So I was looking at that, oh, okay, so for the people who has mobility problem, they cannot access necessary service to them. So the statistics said that with 41% St. Johnner has some sort of disability. I said, wow, 41%, that's a high number, right? So, but it's any of us could be in there, right? Any of us could fall into that category. So I believe that the city, when you build a new building, that has to be the code there, right? In a major service center, you have to make sure if we can have a transportation to be able to let them go there, right? The bus and the other access to let them go to get their services. You know, like disability could be a different sight, hearing, mobility, right? So the sidewalk has to be safe. Okay, we should put more sign and all the intersections maybe should have a slope. I like that idea. You know, they have a slope so the wheelchair can pass it. And in a busy section, they can have the sound that people can hear. So all these things, I think when the city planning something, should put in there, right? On the necessary important services, should have something like that to support our community. Thank you.
So there's a saying among the disability communities and advocacy groups that nothing for us without us. We need to be working in collaboration with these groups to make sure that we get it right when we address these issues. There are items that we can see on the daily from our perspectives, but we are missing a large portion of that puzzle. I can think of things that I've interacted with, for sure, pushing a stroller the last couple of years. You know, crosswalks that don't connect to a sidewalk where the curb's been cut. Items like that. Sims Corner, we have 2 crosswalks without audible or visual aids. One leads to a bus stop. Galt Road, absolutely, needs a sidewalk that connects the entire way down. But as we look at these items, we need to be working with the community groups and the advocacy groups that are involved in this on the daily. We need to realize that we are not the experts in this field. We cannot dictate what happens in these fields. And as we build our city, we need to make sure that we are including those voices and making sure that we are developing appropriately with them. Thank you.
Greg's reading my notes now. St. John, oldest incorporated city in Canada, and that's what we're dealing with. So when we have new construction to help with mobility and disability issues by curb cutting, making it more accessible for people in wheelchairs, that's not the only disability we have to deal with. There's mental disabilities as well, blindness, deaf. So yes, we need those infrastructure improvements for those people as well. I was in Lornville, canvassing, Sherry, driving down the Lornville Road, and there's Mrs. McGuire walking her dog on the dirt shoulder. They've never had sidewalks. Point Road, unbelievable. Can't believe it. It's a mess, and there's no sidewalks. We need to fix these areas immediately. I can only say there's even more spaces on the west side. Westfield Road as well. Please, people, let's get some sidewalks, keep people safe. Our sidewalks, wintertime, need to be plowed a little bit more efficiently for those mobility issues, for people with wheelchairs and people that have trouble moving. Thank you.
Let's change the speaking order for the next question. If we could start, Sherry, perhaps with you, and
Depends on
Blake,
the
you
question.
can go last. Depends on the question. Well, this is a question about population growth, and we know that St. John needs to grow its population, but it also needs people to stay. What would make St. John, and Ward 1 in particular, a stronger place for families and newcomers to choose to live and remain?
Just a second, I've got my notes here on that. So what's going to make St. John more attractive for newcomers to stay? Okay. Well, I think first of all, what we need to do is we need to make sure that we're engaging the St. John Newcomer Center. I mean, they're going to be the hub of the people that are coming. They're going to have an understanding of what the possible barriers may be for the newcomers that are coming into St. John. I think another thing we need to do is we need to realize is that we do need growth, absolutely. And right now, with the age of our current population in St. John, we need to recruit. Might be a bad word. We need to try and get more people from other areas to come in here. But the thing that's going to keep them staying here is going to be a sense of community, a sense of belonging, a sense that if they can contribute to the community and be made to feel safe, to be made to feel welcome, they're going to stay. They're going to work. They are going to build homes. They are going to build their families. They're going to have a sense of belonging. And we need, as a community, to open our hearts to people that are coming in. And the more that we do that, the stronger our communities are going to be, the more people are going to come, and they're going to want to stay here, because we have to start being a welcoming community. I love everybody. I just want everybody to be happy, and I want everybody to make sure that my time's up. I want everybody to make sure that people are the same. So we need to start treating people with respect and remembering that. Thank you.
You could talk a long time about this one. Belonging is one of the tenets for your oldest incorporated city in Canada. And to belong, you need to take care of some of your structural problems, and one of them is affordability. If you can't afford to live in a community, it doesn't matter how desirable it is, it makes it structurally impossible to raise a family here. It makes it structurally impossible to invest here, to build a home here, to pay rent here, to play here, to spend here. So affordability is paramount. If we're going to become a community of choice, and we're going to compete with the other Tri-City areas, Moncton, Fredericton, and our outlying communities, affordability is absolutely critical. There's a bunch of things that have a spillover effect as it relates to this, that we hear when we're going door to door. At this point, about 1,300 doors, and some of the things that are echoed by the people in this room, and when I knock on doors, are cleanliness, our safety, our street lighting on the Lornville Road, for instance, our active transportation routes, our noise whistling cessation. Those are the sorts of things that we can sell and make ourselves more competitive, not only to grow Ward 1, but to grow our entire city of St. John. So affordability has to be critical, and it has to have a laser focus as we move on to this next council. Thank you.
Can I have a longer time? Because I have a lot to say. Because why I stayed here, right? You said, well, how you stayed? Why I stayed here, right? I'm a newcomer, an immigrant from China, and I was a young girl, now I'm a grandmother. Why I stayed, right? Job. Yeah, first is job. And I have a lot of other friends, they left here because job. They can't stay because of the job, okay? And it's not only job. Some have a job where they left, education. For Chinese, the education is a very important part to the family, okay? And because they have famous universities, some of them left for the university, famous, whatever. And housing, right? So before, the job is the first one. And the second, actually, some people come in because the views, the beautiful sceneries. St. John has a lot of potential. And I went to my friend Marika's place, you go down to the Seaview, beautiful Pleasant Avenue. You can see the ocean, right? So we have a lot of potential here. To attract the new immigrant here, job, housing, entertainment, and importantly, they feel they are welcomed here, right? We have a St. John Newcomer Center. It's really good because everybody get a basic information and they can feel comfortable. They can feel they belong here and they can thrive here. Okay, my time is here. I have a lot of wanted to say how to retain it because I tried my best and some of my friends stayed here. Although the kids is gone, they stayed here. The lots of reason. I tell you how I did it. Okay, thank you.
So again, this gets to the no two newcomers are the same, for sure. We have newcomers that come from various different countries around the world. We have newcomers that come from various different places in Canada as well. The common theme throughout that is, yes, jobs, housing, affordability, safety, recreation, and a sense of belonging in their community. The St. John Newcomer Center does amazing work providing resources for people that are newly here, getting them in touch with settlement support, with orientation sessions, with local information and advice, language resources, all of that. We as a community can also do more to be more inviting as well. I would certainly welcome everybody to go visit the Newcomer Center. Mohammed down there is an amazing individual doing amazing work. The community events that they put on is incredible. So we need to embrace that as a community here to make sure that we are giving that sense of belonging. We need to make sure from a structural lens that we are doing everything we can to make St. John more affordable, to create a level playing field for business, for residents, so they can stay, put down roots, and become a part of our community.
So again, there's a lot already been said, but let's make St. John more affordable. We can do that by lowering taxes. We can make St. John a welcoming community. St. John is growing. Our population is going up. And you look around, there's construction, tower cranes everywhere. I love it. Let's make St. John affordable. Let's have retention for the people already living here. Let's give them a sense of belonging, Let's sell St. John. Let's promote the beauty of St. John. I can think of things like Rockwood Park, Mispec Beach, Dominion Park. We do have a nice city. It's beautiful. Let's see if we can't get more people to stay.
Thank you. Like I said, population when I first did my introduction was 103,000 in 1970 because I welcomed you right to St. John at the Manawaganish Road coming from Fredericton. We're now 75,000. I was informed by Councillor Stewart. We're now 75,000. There's construction cranes everywhere. But what moves people anywhere in this world is a job. That's what people move for. You can fool yourselves. Jobs is why 90% of people move. I don't make the statistics. That's just the reason. So we need to be open for business. We need recreation. Recreation is the second reason why people will move to a city, in case you don't know. What we have for recreation. St. John's lacking in recreation, but we need to improve it. Okay, that's the statistics. I don't make them up. We need 75. We got 75,000 people. We'd like to be 85,000 people. But the reason people move here, and we're all senior citizens, most of us are senior citizens, especially in Ward 1, but St. John specifically is mostly a senior town. We need to get the young people here, and they move for one reason only. 90% jobs is why they come. So St. John's a beautiful town, as Joey said. We got everything. We do have everything here. We just have to utilize it, prioritize what we want, and recreation is a big thing on the list. Roads, recreation, priorities. Thank you.
Right, let's get down to the ward level now, and let's start this question with Mr. Norton, and just to change the order up a bit. I'd like to ask a question about the Lornville Data Center. The proposed data center in Lornville has raised debate about jobs, economic development, environmental concerns, and the views of nearby residents. How would you approach a project like this as a councillor, and what should matter most in making that decision?
Well, I have approached this project as a councillor. It's the only one on this panel that has. In fact, I advocated and moved a motion to suspend our procedural bylaws to allow for continuous debate and public hearing from the Lornville community without putting limitations on that, so that we could allow people to speak their mind for as long as they wanted, regardless of how long the public hearing process took. I supported and I voted in favor of rezoning land in our industrial parks, which is by far most our #1 catalytic converter in your city of St. John, in order to unlock potential to see not only growth, but increased revenue, jobs, and prosperity for people not only in Lornville, but all the way out to the Cozy Lake Road on the east side of St. John. It's a $2 billion project that is $800 million more than what's happening at IPP right up here at Sims Corner. Your Sims Corner question, it's already done. It's in the works. There's room in our industrial parks right now for 20 data centers. It is a closed loop cooling system that will be cooled using an ethanol glycol-based mixture that isn't going to impact any sort of groundwater or take from the bay. But it's also been vetted through what's arguably the most rigorous environmental impact assessment in all of Canada. And when it comes back as it relates to what are the cautions there, whether it's been green lighted or red lighted, your council will support that. Thank you.
A data center. I heard a lot of people talk about it. And the data center for me, right, I did some research. I heard a lot of people talk about that. So the data center, what's bring to us? So the Lornville community, I think at first, they have to be protected. Lornville people has concerned. So their concern has to be answered, right? So they are the communities is first. Protect them first, okay? Their question, their concern has addressed, okay? You ask some people, do you support or against it? So actually we have a data center in St. John. It's very small, 1 megabyte, right? So this one's 400 megabytes. Powered 360,000 houses, 2 times the St. John, okay? So the power, people question the power, and then the answer come back. Is they're gonna produce their own power. About water, so they said they're gonna recycle the water. So this is a community question in them, right? What I heard that the main lawmakers, they already have a group. They stopped all the data center development, and they want to do investigations, and they have a report come out. So my will is that we need to see the reports. We need to see the facts, right? We need to see the result. What's the environmental pack? What's the Lornville community get from this, right? So we need to the data. So I would support that. We need the reports come out. We see that. Then I can say yes or no, right? So not only today, it create a timely job, but how about in the future? What do we get from that? So all this has to answer. If it's come the positive, yes. If negative, no. So we need the real facts. Okay, that's my answer. Thank you.
So I'm a pro-development guy, but I believe that it needs to be in the right place at the right time for the right reasons. So I have serious concerns about this project. One, the energy consumption, that it's going to consume half of what the new proposed Tantramar gas plant is going to put online in the run of a year when we're headed towards provincially an energy deficit by 2028. We need more energy on our grid, and tying something in like that, and yes, they will say they have the gas plant that's coming along with it. That's a whole other issue. If they're going to tie into the grid, it means that they are anticipating that they will need your energy while we're heading towards an energy deficit. There's also the water consumption concerns. And yes, closed loop or not, we're talking a massive amount of water that's being taken out of Spruce Lake instead of looking at desalination options out of the Bay of Fundy. There's also the environmental concerns, and people in Lornville are rightfully concerned about this. We are dealing with, at this scale, a relatively new type of building. So the EIA is being processed. We will see where the provincial government comes on that. I have worked with the folks in the Department of Environment and Climate Change. I do have faith in them on that. But if all of those other concerns weren't true, the consultation process that took place with the people of Lornville didn't happen. It wasn't a proper consultation process. There was no conversation. And Greg, you put together a motion. Kudos for that. But the rest of your council didn't let people have their voice. And that was at the council chambers. There wasn't proper consultation in the community leading up to that either. So that's my time. Thank you.
Short answer, not in my backyard. This new council, we know for sure there will be 5 fresh faces, and maybe more. The rezoning for the industrial park in Lornville was approved. Lornville is the community most affected. Were they asked if this is okay? Probably not. And I'm not certain that all the data is out there on this construction. I don't think we know the real story yet. If the story comes to fruition, let's make sure they do it right. Let's have a watchdog. Let's get something for Lornville. If that's the case, maybe they get new sidewalks, pavement, a green space, a park. You don't know. I'm just saying, and not in my backyard for this development, but if something should happen, let's make sure we get something for it. Thank you.
I want to be the last.
All right. This is a hot potato, isn't it? Lornville. I'm a proponent of pro-business. I said that right from the start. But I believe there's been a pile of miscommunication. I wish I spoke as well as Greg Norton, but I don't. There's been a pile of miscommunication on both sides. Now, I believe the city of St. John zoned it for heavy industrial, which means you could build a power plant or anything down there in AIM, but you can't because it's in the zoning bylaw that they can't build any of that stuff, in case people in Lornville don't know. But Lornville has a long memory. I love Lornville. 1980, they were promised to dump a community center and all kinds of money. And you know what happened? Nothing. They have long memories. So they've been telling about this $2 billion data center, which is huge. But for me as a counselor to make a decision for it to happen, and I am pro-business, make no mistake, you have to have all the information from both sides. How's it going to affect Lornville? But how's it going to affect the whole city of St. John when you're talking about $2 billion and jobs, high-paying jobs? And that's the conniption we are in, to be quite honest. Lornville has a long memory, is what I'll say. Okay? Because remember the dump. I've lived here my whole life. My whole life. But I'm pro-business. But as a counselor, you have to have all the information from both sides to make an informed decision. Thank you.
Okay, I have a lot to say on this, but I only have 2 minutes, so I'll try and be concise. I'm not against development, but I don't believe that this is thoughtful development. The natural gas plant that they are going to be building to help supply this hyperscale data center, and this is not a little 1 megawatt, this is huge. This thing is going to take, I believe it's 220 acres. So that's the size of around 91 football fields. Let's think about that for a second. Let's think about the light that's going to come from that. Let's think about the noise that's going to come from that. Let's think about the 755,000 tons of greenhouse gases that are going to be emitted from this facility, which I found it interesting that annual emissions like that would take 176,000 passenger vehicles would emit that much stuff. Let's think about that for a second. The city is supposed to be doing a net zero. I don't understand how on earth they're going to be able to achieve these goals when they keep putting these industries into communities when they have said that they are going to put non-emitting industries into our community. If they drop this into Lornville, yeah, that means our city's going to have 4 out of 5 heavy industries within the city, and 4 out of 5 in, so just a second, 4 out of 5 in New Brunswick. That'll have the highest greenhouse gas emitters in St. John. And 2 of those are going to be in Lornville, a community that has been constantly marginalized, that's constantly been referred to as, we'll just put it out there. They're out of the city. Get rid, yeah. The other concern that I have, I'm sorry I am going to be over my time, I'm being rude, but I have a concern about the long-reaching implications with the power outage because MB Power is responsible for providing the remaining 200 megawatts of power for this facility. So the cost for this requirement, for the power, it's going to fall on the New Brunswick tax, or the ratepayers. Plain and simple. We are going to be on the hook for this. So people are struggling right now in our city to try and make ends meet. This project is not going to improve their lives. It's going to make it even more difficult to live day to day and to try and actually survive in this city. So no, there has not been enough concrete benefit proof to me to convince me that this decision is a good one for our city and our residents. Thank you. I'm sorry I'm over.
Well, let's keep this going a bit. Port growth. Port growth can bring jobs and economic opportunity, but nearby communities often experience traffic, noise, and disruption. How do you ensure Ward 1 benefits from growth rather than simply absorbing the impacts? I'll start with Ms. Shi, if you don't mind, please.
Sure, absolutely.
Sure, could I?
Sorry?
Do you want the question again?
Okay, sorry.
Okay, here we go.
The port?
Yeah, it's about the port and how growth can bring jobs and economic opportunity, but nearby communities often experience traffic and noise and disruption. And how do you ensure Ward 1 benefits from growth rather than simply absorbing the impacts?
Well, how do we do that? Well, we always support the growth, right? We need a job here, right? So grow St. John, the first thing, we need a job. And there's jobs, and then people come in. And then we have a population growth. Then everything comes up. How do we address it? We have some city rules, right? We have some kind of city, some bylaws, right? We have all these things. So we wanted to meet certain standards. The noise, the traffic, I think we all has to address it. I know that when I campaigning, a lot of people complaining the road on the side, pump, pump, they just couldn't sleep. Some left. If the noise, you have to make sure address this noise, right? And the traffic. A lot of seniors, probably you know that around you, the traffic was really, really bad. So the city has come up to some plan to make sure our quality life not being affected, right? So that's my concern. And the city has to, before you grow so fast and then you get a lot of job, has to maintain the standard of people who are already here, right? So the people we live here, we cannot, because noise and things, we have to leave. We cannot do that. So they have to have property planning, properly address all the consequences. So that's my thinking. Need a lot of planning and listening. Listen to the community. Okay, thank you.
So there's a couple things on this. Community buy-in is absolutely necessary, and we've seen that with the port. We've seen that with the expansion of the port and the benefit of the growth that we desire as a city and the jobs that it brings and the international recognition of St. John on that scale. I mentioned the community buy-in piece, but on this theme that we're on, it's a clear distinction between what we have with the port with what we have in Lornville. Community buy-in means everything. We need to be consulting with communities where expansions and developments are going to be taking place in the city, making sure that their issues, concerns are addressed while we do it. So I've spoken to, I don't know how many people now, pro-development people want to see growth, but are afraid of underlying infrastructural deficits. So they want those things addressed in concert with expansions and developments. Things like our sewage systems, things like our water supplies, and making sure that water flow issues don't arise from a new development, and making sure traffic is taken care of as well. So we need to be working in concert with community through an expansive consultation process, not just information sessions when we go into community and say, here's what you're getting. It needs to be, we go in with a plan for growth, recognize the concerns of the community members, take that back, incorporate it, go back again, and do this several times and see if we can get as close to a consensus as we can. And that way we're not fostering resentment within communities like we've seen over the last couple of years. It's no good for anybody, but if we do it together, we will succeed. Thank you.
Benefit of growth and economic gain, absolutely. The more we grow, the more we gain economically. I believe the port, and specifically the west side of the port, DP World, Dubai Ports Worldwide, they can do a lot to help us with our, let's just say, help us with our development. The cruise ships come in now as part of our port. Great. Great economic development there. Our city promotes the cruise ships. It's fantastic. The benefits we can gain from our port growing is we can fix Sims Corner. And Greg, nobody's seen my plan. I know you've probably seen one, but you haven't seen mine. Triple P project, public-private partnership. This is what we need. We need the governments involved at all levels. We need private industry involved, and we can do this. We can make St. John even better.
LaPorte, if you remember, as a Ward 1 candidate back in the 60s, it was booming, absolutely booming in the 60s. I know I always talk about the past, but I probably live in the past. But the port is federal. I don't think anybody understands that. That's why you had AIM down there. It's federal. City Council has no say on that land. Just for people to understand, it's federal property. Now, it's good paying jobs. It's expanding. They want to bring 2 more cranes. And as Greg let it out of the bag, Sims Corner's going to have an overpass or underpass, however you want to have. It's going to happen because we all know the trains are 20 minutes long, and it's going to get worse. But the port is federal. I can't emphasize that enough. We can only work with them. They have big expansion plans. DP World is the second biggest port runner in the world, and we have them here in St. John, which is good news. It's $57 an hour for a workman, a union guy. They spend the money too, okay? I know I'm up here advocating for the port. It's good money, it's good jobs, it's only going to grow with DP World, but it's federal, and we have little say, but we have to work together to make it happen. And when council took the kahunas to make that choice and sided with the port, that meant jobs, 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 and long-term commitment by DP World, because people probably don't follow politics like I do. But it was huge when this council took that step. And it's great jobs, and I give this council all the credit in the world for doing that. Because whether you know it or not, it's big money, big jobs, and we're going to have an expansion of Sims Corner, finally. Thank you.
So I'm just going to piggyback a little bit off of what you said, Blake. As you said, the port, it's federal. The port expansion is federal. But I'm sorry, I still think that the city can advocate for the communities that are going to be impacted by that expansion. We need community engagement. The city can go back and, if you talk to the people, have town halls, actually listen to what they're saying and the concerns that they have. If the city can do that and then go forward and advocate to the federal government, This is what's happening. We have citizens that have concerns. We have citizens that are worried about noise, emissions, like lights, that sort of thing. We have to start respecting the people that are here and growing the jobs. That I understand. But everyone deserves to actually have a bit of peace and quiet in their world and to not have everything blown up just for, well, we're going to have more jobs. Well, you're impacting a lot of people. As you said before, there's a lot of retired people on this side of town that just want a little bit of peace and quiet. But we also want to grow our city, and I understand that. But the city has got to start working with the federal government to advocate for their citizens' rights. Thank you.
As it relates to the port, I guess many people in here would understand that a rising tide lifts all ships. And it does that. And with that, we have growing pains, but aside from the growing pains, we have growing opportunities. And some of those opportunities have already been presented to us. What we have is we now have noise whistling cessation on Sand Cove Road and Blurry Street because of the good work of not only our former MLA, but the advocacy that Councillor Killen and myself did with MBSR and JDI to get noise whistling cessation there instead of waiting for noise whistling cessation everywhere at those two crossings in your Ward 1. We advocated with the Lancaster Logistics Park that it wasn't going to be rezoned and nothing would happen without a noise berm being put between the Greendale community and the Lancaster Logistics Park. Even more than that, we worked with JDI and MBSR and we advocated stronger, and I will let you know that I was in those meetings and there's few people in those meetings that it wasn't going to go ahead without making sure that we had new crosswalks, that we had not only speed dampeners there, but we also put a pocket park in there for residents of Greendale. More than that, a Sims Corner reconfiguration. Yes, that's going to happen as train traffic and rail traffic continues to move, as container traffic increases at the port. A reconfiguration will happen there that West Siders will be proud of and will move traffic seamlessly throughout that corridor without interrupting train traffic that provides a big economic boost to our west side. Because of that, we've seen record investment in Woolastook Park. We've seen increased funding in Dominion Park, and we've drawn a line in terms of the encroachment of industry into public spaces, and that's why we didn't rezone Woolastook Park that happened not too long ago. Also, the industry and the growth that we're seeing has helped stand up some of the things that are happening with West Side Days, with leadership like Councillor Stewart and some people in here. That port growth should be celebrated. There's more to come. And with that, we grow with it and not against it. Thank you.
I'd like to have the others comment on Sims Corner, but thank you for the comments, Councillor Norton, to date. The next question, if we could start with Mr. Smith. Sims Corner has become a neighborhood issue and a city-wide issue. As port traffic grows, the increased train and truck movement may place even more pressure on an already difficult intersection. What should happen next at Sims Corner? How urgent is it? And how would you advocate for Ward 1 residents?
Thank you, Randy. Very important question, very multifaceted question as well. So, as we were discussing, we need the port. We need the port expansion. It's an economic boom for our city. We've seen it, the jobs that have come in, all the rest. But that puts pressure on our infrastructure that's already existing while we do that. Sims Corner being a major one, now a national trade corridor. So we need to be working with and as Greg mentioned, there's a plan in place to upgrade Sims Corner to allow for that. But this is something that is happening after, not during, and it's hard when you have an existing piece of infrastructure already in place. You can't just shut down Sims Corner to deal with this. So as far as working with the other levels of government and the advocacy work that we need to do, we need to make sure that our other methods of transportation, the Harbor Bridge, is still accessible and fully accessible during any time that work is being done on Sims Corner. That is first and foremost. Residents still need to be able to access the rest of the city. They still need to be able to access their homes, obviously. So we need to make sure that we're working in concert with those other levels of government, that while the upgrades are being done, and it's going to take, we're talking a major infrastructural investment here. This isn't going to be an overnight snap your fingers and it's done thing. So there's complex logistics involved in this. We need to be making sure that we are working with the provincial government to make the Harbor Bridge completely accessible and all other routes completely accessible during this time.
So yes, coordination will be a huge concern when Sims Corner gets under construction. Things we have to think about. Businesses may have to close. People may have to be moved. I'm old enough to remember that there used to be 2 sets of tracks go through Sims Corner. So maybe the railroad company already owns the real estate to do that improvement, and maybe people won't have to be moved, and maybe businesses won't have to close. Let's do it as efficiently as possible. I know one thing, my wife absolutely does not drive through Sims Corner. It's dangerous. She will not. I'm sure there might be other people in this room as well. She avoids it at all costs. So, do we need this improvement? Absolutely. Can we do it alone? No way. 3 levels of government and private enterprise as well. We need to make this happen.
Okay, it's me. Okay. Sims Corner. Now, let's be honest. Sims Corner today has half the traffic as it used to be when I grew up. I grew up right there at Sims Corner. It used to be backed up to the Assumption Church when the Digby Ferry came in. Today, most of the traffic comes right down here at Catherwood intersection. But that doesn't discuss the nightmare at Sims Corner. I can drive through Sims Corner because I'm very aggressive. But some people aren't aggressive. A lot of people aren't aggressive. So anyway, it has to be done. It's part of the port. I don't know if there's going to be 2 sets of tracks, but like Joey said, there was 2 sets of tracks there, if you remember. When the port was busy in the 60s, 70s, and early 80s, I think they took them out. Maybe the 90s. But we need to have Sims Corner is going to be redone. And Joey says we're going to have to lower expectations for the people because there's going to be plenty of delays during that much needed fix at Sims Corner because the trains are what's causing the problem. The 20-minute trains, which is only going to get bigger and bigger, which is better for St. John, which is better for the port, which is better for the union guys making 57 plus an hour. It's good for St. John. Is it good for West Side? I live in the past, but I think it's good for the West Side, fixing up Sims Corner. It's going to be done. Thank you.
I don't know what to add to that. Well, it wasn't bad. Yeah, Sims Corner is a long time in the making. You want to talk about remembering things, Blake? I remember when Sims Corner had a set of lights. Do you remember that?
Absolutely.
Yep. They were, and the one set of lights, yeah, and my grandmother was driving with somebody, and they ended up in an accident because they forgot the lights were there, and the one on the passenger side went forward, busted her teeth. Anyhow, neither here nor there. Sims Corner, absolutely. We need to have the development on that. It's the commercial corridor for St. John, right? Like, it is a key piece of our port. I'll give you that. Absolutely. And for the development that needs to happen in this city. I am worried about the residents, though. Like, along Lancaster, Lancaster, I'm worried about, I assume that you're going to lose businesses there. I could be wrong. but either businesses are going to have to be relocated and compensated somehow, or they're just going to disappear the way that some of the businesses. Just one right now? Which one? Okay, he's not allowed to tell me that just one is going to disappear. So yeah, like it's going to impact the residential streets. There's going to be large impacts, so we still have to be engaging with our residents, and that's my concern. We need communication. We need to ensure, we know that we need this upgrade, but we also know that we need to keep our residents informed on what the heck is happening and how this is going to affect their day-to-day lives, because it's going to be a long project, and there's going to be a lot of pain points. And my time is up. Thank you very much.
This is a good question. Thank you, Randy, because it piggybacks on port growth, and Sims Corner and the port are not only close cousins, but they're partners, and it's one of the reasons why your federal government has identified it as a national trade corridor. It is a national trade corridor because if we don't do a reconfiguration of Sims Corner, what we will do is we will never unlock your full potential of the Port of St. John. Our container traffic has the ability to reach an all-time high, and the TSUs that are coming through there can reach tonnage points that will blow the history lesson that we've just recently heard right out of the water. But that will never happen unless a reconfiguration of Sims Corner happens. It's the reconfiguration of Sims Corner that is preventing us from moving more container traffic through that national trade corridor. And those conversations aren't just underway, but those conversations are already being funded, going through design stage, past just conceptualizations that many of you in here have seen, whether it be by Facebook or email, but those renderings are done. Where I come in, and I've had the privilege, a humble privilege, it's been the best 14 years I can ever think of as it relates to serving you, is to make sure that the design that is there uses your carefully scripted tax dollars that are hard-earned to make sure that the project that goes forward in such a way that it provides the least impact and the best value for the money that you earn. Thank you. I did not mean to skip a candidate.
Thank you. Simpsons Corner, everybody knows that's a really, really busy corner. And when I first came, I've driven there, I said, where am I going? You know, I was confused. And there are quite a few accidents down there. So now, finally, they come to address this one, which is good, right? It's good. It's very, you know, important to our West. And the port grow, and we see all these things coming. It's great. It's good news. But we have to think about it. What's the traffic impact? If this section closed, all the traffic will go to the town, where are you going to go? What's the next one? The Harbor Bridge. Do you remember they always closed, repairing? Do you remember that? Every summer closed. You know, how they address this, right? It's going to big impact on our community over this side. So before they close down, they have to address these issues. They have to make sure the Harbor Bridge is always running, right? If they close, think about it. Maybe I should take a boat over to that downtown. So the boat business is going to become, okay? That's the impact on us, right? So they have to address this one, right? So the other things, there are a lot of small businesses around that corner. They're going to be big impact on them too. So what are you going to do with them, right? So all they're doing now is the federal, city, or the provincial, they have to inform us, tell us, right? Let us prepared. We welcome this, but we needed to know how we get around with our life, right? That's a very important part. communication to our residents, especially on the west side. Thank you.
I want to leave time for closing questions, so I would like to offer 30 seconds to each of the candidates for this question. Not everyone in Ward 1 drives, and transportation options matter for work, appointments, and daily life. Are you satisfied with the current level of bus service, and what would you improve?
Our bus system is lacking, there's no doubt about it. Can we make it better? Probably. We have to see how many people actually use the bus system, and are there districts that aren't getting service? We could think of Martinon and Lornville. 15 seconds already? Damn. They don't get any service at all, so yes, let's try to make the bus system a little bit better. The flex system and the disability buses are used frequently. Thank you.
Yes, and you only have 30 seconds.
Oh, I only got 30 seconds, okay. Well, the bus system, I'm very fortunate I haven't had to take the bus since 1976. 50 years I graduated in June, so anyway, I've taken the bus since then. So do I know the bus is exactly what we need? No, I don't know. 15 seconds, and we got 30 seconds to reply. Anyway, I'm not conscious about the bus because I drive. I'm very fortunate. Can I tell you about the bus system? No. Can I tell you it costs a pile of money? Absolutely. Are we getting the best value for our money? We need to answer that question. Thank you.
So, so this is one where I heard this all the time is show me the data, show me the data. This is something that I definitely would have to say, show me the data. Show me the most recent stats on ridership per area. What is the busiest time for ridership? How many citizens take advantage of the service on a daily basis? Is there opportunity to expand the hours? I mean, 15 seconds, okay. Expanding a service just for the sake of expanding a service is not the way to go, in my opinion. So we need to talk to people, we need to figure out what the need is, and then we address it. Thank you, time's up.
Blake wouldn't take the bus, but he would drive his excavator to where he's got to go.
I'm probably the only guy that can operate an excavator up here.
He most certainly is. What would I do really quickly? Currently, our flex system only operates on already identified bus routes. That's where your flex system operates. Expanding the flex service beyond already designated bus routes is essential to reach people at the end of the Westfield Road and going out towards Lornville. I would advocate that we move the flex system not only off existing bus routes, but enhance it on bus routes as well. That's essential to increasing transportation around our ward, which geographically is significant. Thank you.
I used the bus when I was young. My kids, we only have one car, so I use the bus. And, you know, they are on time, so I jump on it to go. But I found that the bus been cutting, right? In my area, like almost the end of a manufacturing route, we couldn't get a bus service anymore. But, my goodness, I haven't to say a thing. Oh, time is up. Yeah, can we improve this bus? I think there's a room to improve the bus services, right? So the bus should be efficient and on time, and oh my goodness, I know, you know, there's a lot of digital services. I think we can look into that to improve our bus service.
So we need to lean on our professional transit commission for the metrics and the data when we're analyzing this. We need to know what the barriers to ridership are, what can be done to improve ridership at scale to make the transit system more economically feasible. When we get into adjacent barriers as well, snow clearing on routes, the and sidewalks. The flex system is working well. We need to see if we can expand upon that. And again, the Transit Commission is going to be compiling data as they do as a professional organization, and we'll need to go from there.
Has everybody responded to that? Did you okay? Time for closing statements, up to 1.5 minutes, please. And I think we'll go reverse order. Joe, if we could start with you for closing. Yep. The other way. Here we go. Thank you.
Again, thank you to Randy and the HTC for this opportunity. And thank you all for taking the time to be here with us tonight. I can see that these discussions are important. In my opening remarks, you heard me mention always community-driven. Many of you have seen me out there, and yes, the pipes are real. I don't just carry them, I can play. Remembrance Day, Firefighters Memorial, Labor Day, Canada Day, head tables, and far too often our loved ones' last celebration. Although I'm a member of 3 pipes and drums bands, I also play saxophone for the Port City Second Chance Band. Further to music, I also serve my community by volunteering on several committees: Muscular Dystrophy, Bobby's Hospice, the Salvation Army, Preservation of Our Lady of the Assumption Church, St. John West Days, and the National Day of Mourning, where I will see you tomorrow, right? I've also had the privilege of receiving the Queen's Platinum Jubilee Medal. As you can see, what matters me most is giving back. This is how I serve my community. This work won't stop. Being a counselor isn't just about attending council meetings, it's about showing up every day for the people you serve and advocating for what matters most to you. I'm ready. My contact information is available, and I welcome any further discussion. Thank you.
Well said, Joe. I want to thank Randy and your team again for all your hard work putting on these forums. I want to thank all of my fellow candidates for putting your names forward in this election, as well as everyone that came out to hear from your candidates this evening and those watching online. Now you have a decision to make. Which 2 of the 8 of us will you be casting your ballot for? If you want a counselor that has governmental experience working for constituents, then I need your vote. If you want a counselor that will adamantly pursue lowering your tax rate to give you the much needed affordability relief that you deserve, then I need your vote. If you want a counselor that will invest in our public safety, including police and fire services, as well as safe infrastructure, and tackling the gaps that we face in the services that are being delivered with your hard-earned tax dollars, then I need your vote. And if you want a counselor that will be open to you, that will ensure you are properly consulted on ward projects and not just told what is going to happen in your communities, but make you an active participant in those conversations, then I need your vote. Advance polls are open on Saturday and Monday, May 2nd and 4th, and Election Day is on Monday, May 11th. And if you want a counselor that is ready and able to serve you, then I ask you to give me your vote for Ward 1. Thank you so much, and I'll be around after if you want to discuss more.
Thank you, everyone, to be here. Thank you, Randy. Thank you, Human Resource Counselor. I just heard I lead my Chinese, Greater St. John Chinese community, and we got an award for Outstanding Ethnical Culture Award. So I'm happy for that. Ward 1 needs a counselor who listens, show up, and gets things done. Over this campaign, I have heard the same, people are talking about it. The safe neighborhoods, better roads and infrastructure, affordability, affordable housing, responsible spending, and a better value for our dollars. Okay. If elect, I will bring a practical, community-first approach to City Council. I'm not going to see it as a part-time job. I'm going to put my full-time effort to it. I will ask a tough question about spending. Making sure every tax dollar delivers real value. And focusing on real improvement people can see in their daily life. I also believe that Ward 1 needs a strong voice at the table. One that listens and takes action and deliver results. I'm asking for your support to me can build strong, so let us build the strong St. John, a safe neighborhood, clean street, lot of job and business. Everyone lives and works here. Everyone sees the bright future. Thank you.
Quick thank you to the organizers for this event, and I hope that folks can participate in the mayoral event as well, as you choose our chief magistrate to lead this great city. If you're looking for experience, trust, and somebody that can bring change for an ever-changing community, consider me. With that, I want to say thank you to people in here. You've given me 14 years of a fantastic opportunity that I take seriously every day. Whether it's working on a number of your agencies, boards, or commissions, or working in nonprofit organizations such as the Lancaster Basketball Association, or our chamber, or other community events, it's the highlight of my life working and serving as your elected official on your city council. It's something that I've done for 22 years, 20 of those years as a public school administrator, not only in priority neighborhoods in the Old North End, but also in our uptown and all the way out to Ward 4. I've worked, lived, played in all wards in this city, and I call West St. John home. I want to thank my partner, I want to thank my family, and I want to thank my friends in here for a great opportunity. Thank you.
I promised my husband I wouldn't cry, but Greg Norton's going to make me cry, and it's not a bad thing. I want to say thank you as well to Randy and everyone that has come. This is my first and probably my last Meet the Candidate, but it was kind of cool. I think I've made it pretty clear that I'm not a politician. I said that from the moment that I stepped up here. But what I am is a concerned citizen who experienced obstacles, red tape, and roadblocks thrown in front of me as I tried to navigate the system to try and do right by my neighbors and community. Sorry. I know. I had no intention to step up here 2 years ago. I only decided in the past month that I couldn't stand in silence anymore. I'm sorry. I want to make it easier for the people of our city and of our communities to have an interaction with council. Thank you. With interaction with council and City Hall. I want to help people to have a voice and to say in how their city is being run and managed. You deserve to have a say. You deserve to have your voice known. We are St. John. The residents are St. John, and we need to stand up and ensure that we are heard, seen, and listened to, because if we don't, I'm not quite sure where our communities are going to end up in the next few decades, so please stand up and make your voices heard. Thank you.
I know all about emotion. So Sherry, never be embarrassed about being emotional. Okay. Not embarrassed? All right, that's great. Anyway, why would you vote for Blake Armstrong? Number one, not a politician. Number two, I've been in the bar business over 40 years. I know common sense. If I don't, and I can't know everything. Nobody can know everything. But I can pick up the phone and call a lot of smart people to get acknowledged, to find out what the information is. I'm very forceful. I speak. I'm aggressive. I'm not a great speaker, as you can probably tell, but I speak from the heart. And I grew up here. in West St. John. I've lived in the same area, quarter of a mile, whether it's good or bad. I love West St. John. I lived a quarter of a mile, 2 houses, Earl Avenue and Bryan Lane. I know. I talk to a lot of people every day because of the business I'm in. That doesn't make you vote for me. But I would appreciate your vote. And you got to be asleep if you don't know I'm running, because I got the most signs up, and it doesn't get me a vote. Thank you very much, everybody, and thank you, West Side.
Well, thank you to all of our candidates for participating this evening, and thank you for your willingness to put your names forward for public service. Thank you as well to everyone who joined us tonight, here in person and online, and to those who have taken part in our broader conversation through surveys and forums across the city. Tonight is the 5th forum in a week, and tomorrow you're warmly invited to attend the mayoral forum at the Imperial Theatre starting at 6. If you can't be there in person, then feel free to join us online through our YouTube channel. All those particulars are on our website and on our Facebook page. On behalf of the Human Development Council and Civitech St. John, we're grateful to all who helped make tonight possible. More importantly, please remember to vote. Local government decisions shape our daily lives in many practical ways, and every vote matters. Thank you, have a safe evening, and good night.